Hey, you're watching This Brand Geek, and in this video, we're taking another look at the Online Safety Act. Why? Because there's been some pretty big developments in the last 24 hours. Ofcom has issued its first fine to a company under the Online Safety Act, and that company, as you may already know, is 4chan. But the amount that they fined them is interesting, so we'll take a look at that and why they fined them that amount. I'll also show you how 4chan reacted to this and what the response was to the British government. It's actually kind of hilarious, you need to see this. We'll also take a look at another couple of examples under the Online Safety Act, and then I also want to show you a couple of clips of what Keir Starmer has said in the past regarding enforcement of the Online Safety Act against companies based in the United States, and how what he said is quite different to what's actually happening. Anyways, let's get into the video. This one's going to be quite interesting.
Certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens.
Wait, what did he say?
Certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens.
Wait, could you say that again?
Certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens.
Okay, so first things first, we're going to go directly to the source here. This is the ofcom.org.uk website. There's two sections that I want to look at in this, and then we'll go and look at what 4chan said in response to this, which is, again, kind of funny. And then we'll take a look at what Keir Starmer said in the past compared to what's happening in reality. Okay, so first things first, clamping down on providers that ignore legally binding information requests. Gathering accurate information from regulated companies is fundamental to our job of making life safer online for users in the UK. To assess and monitor industry compliance with their safety duties, we routinely issue formal information requests. Firms are required by law to respond to all such requests from Ofcom in an accurate, complete and timely way. The provider of 4chan has not responded to our request for a copy of its illegal harms risk assessment, nor a second request relating to its qualifying worldwide revenue. Now that bit is important, and we'll get to why that's important in a second. As a result, Ofcom has fined 4chan £20,000. We will also impose a daily penalty of £100 per day, starting from tomorrow, for either 60 days or until 4chan provides us with this information, whichever is sooner. And then they go on to talk about a file sharing service called im.ge and a service provider called AVS Group Limited for similar failures to respond to statutory information requests. Now we are going to come back to this webpage to take a look at what they're talking about down here, because that is also very interesting. But right now I do want to take a look at and show you what 4chan's response was to this latest development from Ofcom. And for that we'll go to this website right here. It's called Reclaim the Net, but this was reported on various news outlets, but this one kind of covers everything. Anyway, so let's go down here. Now over here they kind of covered the same thing. Ofcom fined them £20,000, which is about $26,000, and then of course the £100 a day, which is about $133 every day starting from Tuesday. And then Ofcom went on to say, today sends a clear message that any service which flagrantly fails to engage with Ofcom and their duties under the Online Safety Act can expect to face robust enforcement action. Yeah, so robust. She further asserted that some platforms are already adopting new safeguards following pressure from the regulator, while warning that services choosing to limit their availability to UK users rather than implement content filters remain under scrutiny. And now we'll take a look at that in a sec when we go back to the Ofcom website. But the thing that is most interesting here is the amount they decided to fine Ofcom. Why did they decide to fine them £20,000 and then £100 a day? I thought they said when the Online Safety Act was introduced that they will fine companies that do not comply 10% of their global revenue. That was everywhere at the time, and that's exactly what they said. So why did they fine them £20,000? Well, we can find the answer to that on Ofcom's own website. Now, if you take a look over here on the paragraph that we read just a few minutes ago, they literally said, nor a second request relating to its qualifying worldwide revenue. So they fined them £20,000 because they don't know what 4chan's global revenue is. They can't fine them 10% of global revenue because they don't know what it is. Again, they're a company based in the United States, and they do not have to tell the UK government what their worldwide revenue is, so the UK government can't fine them 10% of a number that they don't know. It's actually kind of funny when you think about it, which is why they fined them £20,000 instead, which is, let's be honest, probably not 10% of 4chan's global revenue. So anyways, let's go and take a look at what 4chan said to this. So Preston Byrne, who represents 4chan, called it an illegal campaign of harassment against American tech firms. They also added that 4chan has broken no laws in the United States. My client will not pay any penalty. They also remain adamant that the regulator, Ofcom, has no power to enforce such measures in the United States. They also issued a scathing public response that leaves no doubt about the platform's position. 4chan's constitutional rights remain completely unaffected by this foreign email. 4chan will obey UK censorship laws when pigs fly. He also said that in the meantime, there's litigation pending in Washington, DC. I think 4chan and Kiwi Farms have jointly filed a federal lawsuit in district court in the US. So in the meantime, there's litigation pending in DC. OFCOM hasn't answered yet. We'll see OFCOM in court. You have to laugh. That Americans don't obey British censors is settled law here. OFCOM might as well have ordered that the moon be made of cheese. 4chan's lawyers then ended with, that fine will never be enforced in the USA. The UK is welcome to try to enforce it in an American court if they disagree. Now that tells you everything about how American companies will not bend the knee for the UK government censorship. And the thing that I find most interesting about this is what happened over here. So Technology Secretary Liz Kendall celebrated the action, calling it a model of the law in practice. She said, the Online Safety Act is not just law, it's a lifeline. Today we've seen it in action, holding platforms to account so we can protect people across the UK. Now, I find it interesting that a Labour MP has actually celebrated this decision by OFCOM to go after an American company. Maybe she's celebrating it because she doesn't know what her overlord Keir Starmer said. Let's take a quick look at who Liz Kendall is. Now, this is a government website, the Right Honourable Liz Kendall MP. Liz Kendall was appointed Secretary of State for Science, Innovation and Technology on the 5th of September 2025. So I guess she missed the memo then, because last we heard from Keir Starmer regarding this situation and the overreach to US companies. Here's what he had to say. Now I'm going to play a couple of clips for you, and this is very interesting. So here's the first clip that I want to look at. This is when Trump was sitting down with Keir Starmer, and I think a reporter from GB News told Trump that Keir Starmer wanted to censor Truth Social, which is of course Donald Trump's social media app. And here's what Donald Trump had to say about it, and listen to Keir Starmer's response.
Please uncensor my site.
Yeah, we're not censoring anyone.
We're not censoring anyone.
We're not censoring anyone. That's what Keir Starmer said in this clip, right? But it gets worse. If you think that isn't a smoking gun, take a look at this next clip and listen to what he says about overreaching to companies based in the United States. Now, the clip you just saw was from July 28th of this year. It wasn't even 3 months ago. But let's take a look at the next clip, shall we? Now, in this clip, Keir Starmer is sitting down with President Trump and Vice President Vance. Now, listen to what JD Vance says about the UK government overreaching to US-based companies in terms of censorship of free speech, and then listen to Keir Starmer's response. This is super interesting.
But we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British, of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the UK. He repeats that line all the time. I'm getting sick of hearing it.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens.
Wait, what did you say?
Certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens.
Wait, could you say that again?
Certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens.
One more time, Keir.
Certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right.
Yeah. It's pretty freaking embarrassing, isn't it? There's no defending it. Our Prime Minister Keir Starmer literally sat in front of the President of the United States and the Vice President and said that we will not be overreaching to American companies and citizens with our Orwellian censorship and attacks on free speech. And yet we have a Labour MP celebrating that Ofcom is going after citizens and a company based in the United States. So I'm not even surprised that 4chan and Kiwi Farms, or whatever they're called, have decided to file a federal lawsuit where they are jointly challenging Ofcom's enforcement tactics, describing them as unconstitutional and in violation of America's sovereignty. The complaint argues that the Online Safety Act cannot be applied to platforms that are based entirely in the United States and operate within the bounds of US law. They say with this action, our clients defend the free speech rights of every American. Foreign interference of the type seen in this case is precisely what the First Amendment is meant to protect against. They describe Ofcom's attempts as egregious violations of American civil rights, calling out the regulator for issuing legal threats and enforcement notices without going through proper legal channels such as the UK-US Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty. I don't even know what to say about this. As a British citizen, I find this quite embarrassing because our Prime Minister literally said that he will not do this. He reiterated that less than 3 months ago, and Here we are with a Labour MP celebrating the fact that we are in fact doing this. Now I want to go back to the Ofcom website like I said before and take a look at this section here really quickly because I think it's quite interesting. Now you may remember from my previous video where we touched on Imgur and how it is no longer available in the UK. Now Imgur, which is an image sharing website, has not been banned in the UK, but the UK government's requirement for them to police their platform and put in all of these age restrictions meant that Imgur probably didn't think it was worth implementing those technologies just because the UK government was demanding that they do. So instead of complying with the British government, they just geo-blocked the whole UK from accessing any of their servers. So any images that are stored on Imgur servers just don't show up in the UK anymore. So this section here on the Ofcom website kind of touches on that, but they don't mention Imgur, but it does show what the UK government thinks of what Imgur basically did. So monitoring services which take steps to stop UK users from accessing them. In response to our enforcement action, providers of some services have taken steps to prevent people in the UK from accessing their sites, such as by geo-blocking access from UK IP addresses instead of implementing the safety measures under our codes. This has significantly reduced the likelihood that people in the UK will be exposed to any illegal, harmful content. Then it talks about 4 file sharing services over here that did the same thing that Imgur did, and the way this line ends is what I find the most interesting. And as a result, we have decided to close these cases. So basically, either you comply with what we're doing, or we'll fine you 10% of your global revenue if we can find out what your global revenue is. And if you still don't comply, we will ban you in the UK. Or you can ban yourself and self-deport basically. And if you do that, we will close the case on you. But then they go on to say that they will continue to monitor their availability in the UK and reserve the right to reopen their investigations. So that's the state of the UK right now. We have a Prime Minister that says that he won't do something less than 3 months ago, but then he goes and does it, and Labour MPs celebrate that he's gone back on his word. We have an American company basically giving our government the finger, and everyone's laughing about it. So yeah, that's not embarrassing at all. And then we have Ofcom saying, we're going to investigate you and fine you huge amounts of money if you don't comply with our laws, even though you're not based in our country. And if you don't comply with our laws, we will ban you. You could save yourself the hassle and deport yourself from the UK internet. And if you do that, we'll close the case. But if you come back, we'll reopen it and fine you. Does this sound like a free internet to you? Or does this sound like an Orwellian nightmare? Because I know what it sounds like to me, but I'm based in the UK, so I can't really say, can I? But what I'm doing in this video is presenting you with what's actually happening, and you can draw your own conclusions from what I've just shown you. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. This channel name will be changing quite soon. I'm still working on it, and I will make an announcement video to give you the new channel name. So This Brown Geek, this channel name's days are numbered. Anyways, how do you feel about all this? Do you agree with what the UK government is doing, or are you on the other side of the fence thinking what the hell is going on? This is a direct attack on free speech. Sound off in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think of all this. Anyways, if you found this video informative or entertaining in any way, please drop it a like. It goes a really long way. And please do consider subscribing if you haven't already. You've been watching This Brown Geek. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.